It's time. Oh, wait, wrong intro. That's not us, is it? Is it time for the UFC's main event? No.
Jeez.
Anyway, had to wake you up. You looked asleep. All of you out there in YouTube land, wake up too. It's late for us, but it's early for you. Man, we got another UFC fight again and again and again. They never stop. They never stop. They just keep going. I feel like it's Groundhog's Day. We just keep
Just
waking
wake
up
up and
and
do it all over again.
again and again and again. Say the same stuff again and again and again. The same bad jokes, the same bad
Speak for
euphemisms.
yourself.
Oh man, your bad jokes are worse than my bad jokes.
Last week was actually a pretty good week, though. That was a good betting week, good picks week, good everything week.
Yeah, that was a solid one. That was a solid
I put
one.
I put in a bet really early in the week last week. I put in Pereira, Sean O'Malley, and Izzy as a parlay. I put like 2,500 on it. People had me scared all week about Strickland. Oh, Strickland's going to do this. Strickland's going to do that. Strickland's going to wrestle. He's a phenomenal grappler. He's a black belt. He's all this stuff. And I think I said this on the podcast, and I saw somebody in the comments kind of fire back at me. And I said, I think Sean Strickland is a really smart guy, like smarter than he lets on. And he's actually more tactical than he would make people think. But I said, he fights with ego. He does. He wants to stand in there and bang. And what did he do? He fought with ego and got check left hook, just like verbatim, exactly what we said on the show last week. Back with his chin back and got left hooked by the legendary left hook of Alex Pereira. So, maybe we're decent
we call
at
that to a
fight
T,
stuff.
right? I mean, what did we say? He comes out and he jabs a lot. He drops his right hand when he does it, and Pereira's best thing is a left hook. And we didn't see that with the Bruno Silva fight because he was a southpaw. Go back, people, watch it. I mean, that's what we called.
Also,
Pereira,
Bruno
man,
is so good.
he really is. He really is. But he offers a weird style because one, Bruno would wrestle a little bit, and he's a southpaw, so it's just a little bit different. You get an orthodox Strickland who decides to go and strike with the striking king. Well, that's how it ends.
What's
what do you
weird
think
about
about
Pereira, though? Oh, what's that?
No, tell me about Pereira, and I'll ask my question in a second.
Well, like every time I watch him, I'm like, man, this guy is a horrible kickboxer. Like every time I'm watching him, and people are gonna like roast me for this and say like, oh, you're an idiot. But he looks like a horrible kickboxer. Like watching the Bruno Silva fight, like every time he was hit with punches, he like kind of turns his back away from him, and he'll just like get kicked. He doesn't check much. He doesn't do much of anything in the way of defense. Now, offensively, he's sick. But Sean Strickland, it was funny in the press conference. Everyone's like cutting clips of that and like showing him get knocked out. And I'm like, come on, guys. Like, he's just talking. But Sean Strickland was kind of making fun of his kickboxing. He's like, if he wasn't 6'5" and extremely athletic, he wouldn't be doing this. Like, kind of how he hops around like that. And Strickland, in my opinion, is exactly right. Like, the only way that he can fight like he does is because he's 6'5" and he keeps his hands so low, and people are scared to really swing on him because they feel the power coming back. So he kind of draws you in to swing on him, bomb on him, and then he crushes you offensively. But like, if you look at like a Nicky Holskin, Alex Pereira is not Nicky Holskin. He's not this technically perfect, incredible kickboxer. He's an offensive kind of blitzkrieg that hits harder than anyone on planet Earth and is made of, granite.
Yeah, but I think, he's like, if he wasn't 6'5" and this physical specimen, then he wouldn't be who he is. Well, Tyreek Hill wouldn't be Tyreek Hill if he couldn't run like a 4'1" 40. And Michael Phelps, if he didn't have the wingspan of a,
Yes.
large bird, like, you know what I mean? Like, that is what makes people good at athletics, is genetics and physical attributes. So
I think his point was his lack of technique is made up for by being 6'4", 6'5", and just, like you said, the physical attributes that he has. You know what's actually funny about that? And I tweeted this. I was like, I don't think his kickboxing is like very good. And, people are like, oh, haha, funny joke. And I'm like, I kind of like mean it. Artem Levin actually posted their fight like a couple days ago. He was like, congratulations to Alex Pereira, but here's me beating him. And it was just like, Artem Levin is a guy that I look at and go, this guy's a phenomenal kickboxer because he's the opposite of Pereira. He's not athletic at all. He doesn't have these physical gifts. He doesn't have one touch power, but he's such a technically perfect kickboxer and he's so annoying. And he just picked apart Alex Pereira in their glory fight. So I just thought it was kind of a interesting, interesting thing there.
Yeah, I mean, so these things, it's like, yeah, I'm this tall, but do something about it.
Exactly.
It's
Come on.
crazy. Yep, do it. So what do you think about the O'Malley Munoz stoppage, the eye poke?
I
Was
was
it?
thanking my lucky stars because I didn't think O'Malley was winning. I think it was maybe 1-1, but I've seen crazy things happen with judges. So for me personally, on a betting level, I was thanking my lucky stars. Um, but it's kind of going to bring up the whole thing. Like, did he fake it? Did he want out? Just because we've seen that so much. If we didn't have Aljamain Sterling, if we didn't have who was the guy, Chris Barnett, I think it was, or Barnett or whatever. So many of these people are just quitting out of fights, and we've seen it even on the local scene. Ryan Charleboy's fight.
Yep.
If we didn't have such a bad taste in our mouth with people just like straight up quitting out of fights, I think we would have been like, okay, maybe he's being for real. Um, and it sucks because Pedro is a vet, like a veteran's veteran. He likes to fight. He's game. We know this, but it certainly did seem like, he was like, all right, I'm out of here.
Well, the thing that was weird to me is, like you said, I thought he won round one. I thought O'Malley was starting to do well in round two and find some rhythm, but it's hard to say. Like, there still wasn't a ton that happened. Funny thing about that is O'Malley didn't go out right in his face like he usually does. He actually sat back, which is a little weird just in general. But I wouldn't have even thought anything about the Munoz eye poke. I mean, I always thought, whatever, an eye poke, an eye poke, an eye poke. And then I was poked in the eye once badly. And not even really badly, just badly enough to where I couldn't see for like 3 hours. And I was like, oh, I get it. And it was not a crazy bad eye poke. I didn't have blood in my eye. It was just a weird feeling. But so I was like, okay, an eye poke is real. Pedro Munoz is a solid vet, not a guy I would think. But the second it happened, he turned to the ref. I forget who even the ref was, but he goes, come on, man, it's the second time or it's the third time, whatever he said. He like, it made it seem like he wanted him to take a point for it and that he was trying to like get something out of it versus just like, oh, my eye, it got it.
I think that's
But he was like,
smart. I think that's smart.
yeah, but just the way that and then it just didn't continue. If he had said that, but said, no, I can continue. Okay. But then he said that and then didn't continue. I thought there's just a little weirdness about that, the way that went
I
down.
think maybe these guys have a plan, kind of like going about it, and they mismanage their words just a little bit. I think he maybe he thought like, okay, if I say I can't continue, he'll take a point, but then we're going to actually continue, and the doctor will say that I'm fine. I think he just kind of mismanaged it, but he was trying to pull a vet move and get a point and kind of be up, on the scorecards double time. I don't
And
know.
then they just called it. He just screwed up on the call. I could see that. I really could.
Yeah, thank
Um,
God though, because I ended up cashing some good tickets.
yeah, I mean that was solid. And I mean the card as a whole, Izzy, that was kind of what we thought was going to happen. Kind of a boring stay at range fight until um, Cannonier was a little desperate, and then he came in and crowded. And I mean that nothing crazy there. But all in all, good fight. You want to know what shocked me actually was the Robbie Lawler fight. That one, man, I thought Robbie was looking great, doing well. And then he got clipped with a shot that didn't even look like it was the hardest shot ever, and it just seemed like it stopped Robbie right in his tracks. And then that was that. There's just no coming back from that. It looked like he just was done. That one surprised me a little bit, but all in all, solid card. Um, this card, and we're not going to get 100% into it. I want to ask you another question, but this card actually, last card I really liked. I really liked it for betting. I think the card before that I really liked for betting too, and we did really well on both those cards. 3 cards ago, we had the landmines of landmines. I mean, there was bombs everywhere on that card. I feel like this one is kind of like that. I feel like there's a lot of landmines, both good and bad. But this is a careful. You got to be careful with this card to bet on.
I'm not going to be careful. I don't care.
um, Before we get to this card, you crazy son of a bitch, One, you guys, well, first of all, thanks. We're up to 40, over 4,000 subscribers. I think we're at 4,045 or something like that. So we appreciate you guys. A lot of you guys are on the Discord. A lot of you guys are signed up to that. We're adding stuff to the Patreon all the time in the Discord. And then, so please keep subscribing to our channel, keep liking us, and then, check out my memoir in the show notes and, learn some stuff, support the MMA breakdowns and bets. Santino DeFranco with a purchase. On another note, I'm a little annoyed with today's uh, podcast video. I ordered something for my background, and it was supposed to show up today, and it didn't. It didn't come. So I ordered a neon sign. It's like the blue and the pink of our logo for behind me of some boxing gloves, and I only
Damn, my
got.
bookie's paying well. Those
Oh my
custom
gosh!
neon signs are not cheap.
Yeah, well, hold on. We'll get to hold on you with the custom. Hold on you. Um, yeah, my bookie finally did pay us. So that's fun.
Yes.
They finally did pay us, you guys, so you can back off. But no, I ordered one off of Amazon, just some boxing gloves. There's like one pink, one blue. Because I got a quote on a custom neon sign of our actual logo, MMA breakdowns and bets with like the pink and the blue. And they wanted $500 for like a 18-inch by 18-inch. And I was like, I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
that I couldn't
That
justify that.
that's what I
I
expected. I thought you were gonna say like 800 right now because 500 was expected.
Yeah, I think it was actually 580. I think it was 580. And I was like, man, if it was like 250, I was like, oh, I'm getting one. You wait, I'll buy two. I'll give you one. But for 580, I'm like, no way, I'm not paying that. I don't know. I don't.
I got the Ellen Grossman originals. I think it's going to be funny. Like, as we kind of keep going through this podcast, everyone's going to be like, what the hell is behind you? And I told the story like a long time ago. And now Ellen Grossman. So, for you guys that don't know Ellen Grossman, she's the old lady who sat next to Jay-Z on the subway and had no idea who he was until he was like, oh, I'm Jay-Z. Oh, you're Jay-Z. Um, she's now an MMA fan, which I think is cool. We follow each other on Instagram. I've texted her, called her. I check in with her every once in a while. And, every now and then she'll just, I don't know how old she is, maybe in her 70s, 80s. Like she's older, but it's hilarious because she'll reply to my stories like, what is this? What is this thing you're doing in the cage? What is this that you're doing? This is amazing. So Ellen Grossman is now part of this MMA community and she's very vested in my personal success. So
That's
very, very
awesome.
cool.
My background is just Slab City. For you guys, if you know anything about Slab City, look it up. Up above my
That's
left shoulder.
Big Sean, right?
What's that?
That's Big Sean, right? That's that song by Big Sean.
Oh, I don't know. No, that's I don't know. What is that? I know what you're talking about, but anyway,
I can't get it
um,
either.
yeah, I know what it is. The song's in my head, but no, I've got pictures of stuff that I took when I was in Slab City. But anyway, Google Slab City, and you'll go down a rabbit hole of strangeness. It's a place in California, right off of the Salton Sea. It's right outside of Nyland, California, and on the Salton Sea. I mean, first of all, the history of the Salton Sea is really interesting too. You guys should go check that out. But they basically flooded this, created almost like a Palm Springs man-made sea out there. And you've on the west coast or on the west side of it, they had a community, and then on the east side they had a community. On the east side, it was called Bombay Beach, and which is really close to Slab City. And since then, they had water rights issues that wouldn't, so they pulled the plug on the water getting there because California has droughts and all that stuff. And so the Salton Sea itself pretty much dried up, and it's very disgusting. It's very saline. You go there, the shores are all just covered with just bones of rotted dead fish. But it's a really, really, really cool place. There's maroon ships up there. You see a lot of cool stuff. But anyway, near that is Slab City, where it was an old military base that got kind of cleaned out, and it was actually owned by a teachers union. And there's no like law there. There's just no cops there. It's almost like an unincorporated vagabond city of like artists and tweakers and creepers. Very, very cool. Salvation Mountain. This guy made like a whole mountain out of plaster. It's like one of the coolest visual things you'll ever see. But check it out, you guys. Slab City is just a fun, cool story for you. before we get into fights. And actually, one last thing before we get into this card, I want to ask you about this because Mark Raimondi hit me up from ESPN, and he said, "Who is going to be the champion, or not even champion, the best fighter in 2025?" And that got me thinking to a lot of stuff in 2025 and 3 years from now, where MMA is going to be at. And I'm curious, do you have any ideas as to who? I'll tell you who I said first, and then let me know your thoughts. I said I could see it being somebody like Peter Yan, Rafael Fiziev, Chimaev, these guys that can. I mean, you look at Peter Yan and Rafael Fiziev. I guess he's not Brazilian. And it's like, wait, is he a striker or a wrestler? Because you don't know, because they're so good at both of them, like unbelievably talented at both. And then Chimaev, you know he's a phenomenal wrestler, but his striking looked pretty good against Gilbert Burns. So I said one of those guys, I could actually see like a Sean O'Malley in a few years if he grows into. He's got this swag about him. Um, maybe not yet, but in 3 years. And then the other one I said is maybe somebody we don't even who isn't even in MMA right now. You have like the Roman Bravo Youngs, who are D1 national champions, as talented and as athletic as they get. He's been training MMA with Dominic Cruz for years now, so he's adept and has it. By the time 3 years from now, he could be just smoking people. Who do you think? Anybody come to mind?
Well, yeah, off the top of my head, it came Peter Yan, right? Now, 2025, what are we, 2022 right now? So 3 years. It's hard to, it's going to sound dumb to say this, but like Volkanovski, when you watch him, I mean, right now to me, he's the best fighter I have ever laid eyes on ever. He is incredible, doesn't make a single mistake. He will be 36 at the time, but just with the swagger that guy has, I mean, it'd be hard not to see him being still on top of the mountain, weirdly, even at 36. Um, but yeah, Peter Yan. And then I think about guys like Shavkat. I think Shavkat is really, really solid. I think he's really, really good. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Honestly, guys, I mean, even watching Ian Gary this week, it's hard to say that he'd be the best guy in the UFC, but man, is he good. And that frame for that weight class is huge. So there's a lot of talent, but I think my guy would be Peter Yan, just for age and the actual skill and all the boxes checked. I think is probably Peter Yan.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, think about it. Think about how good Volkanovski is now and where he was 3 years ago. He was good 3 years ago, but not as good as he is now. I mean, like he just has leveled up, man. It's amazing. And then some other things I was curious about. Uh, 3 years from now. So they asked me about fighters 3 years from now, and then I thought, where are we going to be 3 years from now? And a couple other things. Judging. Do you think we'll always still have three judges? Do you think we'll have four or five, or there'll be better judging, or is it
I
just going to
sure
be the
hope not.
same?
Yeah, I don't know because every week and we see this. Even Dana talks about it every single week. He's like, "Oh, I think so and so actually won that fight. They should have won the fight, but whatever." And he's constantly giving win bonuses for both people because he thought the other guy actually won. Even on Contender Series, we saw him give two guys contracts because he disagreed with the decision. So he knows, he's aware, he's fully, he's fully aware of this problem, and yet still nothing has changed. And Dana is usually a man of action. When Dana wants something done, it happens, i.e., with the COVID era, he bought an island and set up fights there, right? So when Dana wants something, he does it. So the fact that nothing has been done by now, I mean, that's not a great outlook for the future. There's some serious money on the line here. There's something going on that's not letting uh, maybe the fair aspects of sports come through. Like, I'm almost worried that sometimes we're seeing boxing. Like, a couple of these recent decisions have been not good, and it makes you go, what's going on here? So I don't think that much changes.
Yeah, I mean, recently, I don't know if it's Kansas or Missouri or somewhere in the Midwest, they introduced open scoring, and I like that idea. I think open scoring is a good um, concept. I like that. Um, and then gosh, it was judging. There was another one I was going to ask too. Gosh, I just forget off the top of my head. But one other thing is style. Like we've kind of seen. What do you think the next trend is in our sport itself. I mean, because everything is cyclical. I mean, if you look at it the way it started, it was with Hoist Gracie and Jiu-Jitsu, and then you had some wrestlers come in who could defend a takedown defend a submission but get the takedown. Then you had kickboxers come in who could defend the takedown and could win. Then you had like the Frank Shamrocks come in who turned it into a cardio thing and a sport. And then you see this cycle and cycle and cycle. Is there anything, just style wise that you see coming up in the next few years?
Okay, well, there's one thing that I wanted to say because I thought about this for a long time. A technique that I think is actually gonna that's gonna make its rounds back, and um, maybe this is part of it, but I think the traditional leg kick is going to actually make a huge rebound. And the reason that I say that is calf kicks have become all the craze, right? Because we saw it even with Cejudo, we saw it with Michael Chandler, all these guys, right? It's shutting people's nerves off and their legs are going crazy, and it's been the huge thing for years and years and years. I think now, so many people are getting good at defending calf kicks. I don't have a problem with calf kicks. Like it's such a small check and it's such a small adjustment. You really don't have to do a lot. But I know my legs are not as conditioned and prepared for traditional leg kicks. If somebody hits me with a traditional leg kick, I'm like, oh man, that hurts. So weirdly enough, I think traditional leg kicks, they're going to make a big comeback. Back taking, but I think weirdly, like the kind of style that we're going to see, and we're going to talk about it a little bit here, is like the Ricky Turcios style. Like just activity, 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 and cardio and activity. At least I think that's what's winning fights right now, right? With the judging criteria and kind of what we're seeing, it's not even having to be that good anywhere. It's just let me put enough out there to get enough points on the scorecards. And if I can have enough cardio to do it, then there we go. I think the days of like, even his last fight, the Brady high stand fight, Brady's a good wrestler, got him down, but he's not winning fights that way. And he didn't win that fight that way and got too tired. So I think maybe the next evolution is just those high volume, high cardio, that style and that type of fight.
Okay, interesting. I love the idea of the low kick, the traditional low kick, and it's so much more versatile than a calf kick. Traditionally, a calf kick you land when people are pressing you heavy on that lead leg, um, but and if people are backing up, you miss it a lot. But if people are backing up and you throw a traditional low kick, I mean, you'll land that. I mean, that's just freaking low kick. Not to say people can't get out of the way, but forward, backwards, offense, defense. I mean, it's a solid thing. I like that. I'm interested in that. One thing I think is that we're going to see over the next couple years is a lot less Brazilian jiu-jitsu in mixed martial arts, in the sense of like, I feel like there's a dichotomy in jiu-jitsu right now. If you were to go into Sanford MMA, I mean, our gym, Fight Ready or Siege, any of the major, go to ATT, you're going to see enroll, like just grab any random MMA fighter and roll some jujitsu. You're going to grab a lot of high level jujitsu guys like Gilbert Burns, the Pablo Popovich, the Adolfo Vieira. I mean, that generation of grapplers. And they're almost, I mean, their traditional Brazilian jiu-jitsu is almost more closely related to what would now be considered sambo or grappling, just like submission grappling versus jiu-jitsu. Traditional Brazilian jiu-jitsu right now, I think the 1993 Hoist Gracie era day one jiu-jitsu is more closely, related to MMA these days than current jiu-jitsu with the worm guard and the barambolos and the leg locks and the knee reaps. I don't even know that stuff is applicable at all to MMA anymore. So I think we're going to see wrestlers and a lot more submission grappling in a kind of a split between Brazilian jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts.
I 100% agree. And you know what? When I first started jujitsu, I was like one of those really pretentious jujitsu people where I was like, yeah, but these MMA fighters are just apes. They don't know anything. They don't know real jujitsu. And I remember always being so mad at Rashad Evans. I was like, Rashad Evans is a black belt. This is ridiculous. He's never even put on a gi in his entire life. And then Rashad Evans fought, a few months ago on the Eagle FC card, and he goes against a guy, Gabriel Checo, who's 100% jiu-jitsu guy, who's a leg locking black belt jiu-jitsu guy, and out grappled him and dominated him for 15 straight minutes. doing a blend of wrestling and jiu-jitsu. And so I 100% agree with you. And I think even the trend in the jiu-jitsu scene too is becoming a lot more wrestling heavy and a lot more kind of MMA centric. One of my favorite matches of all time. I am such an old school guy. Like my favorite jiu-jitsu guy of all time is Robson Mora. But I've also been a big follower of Roger Gracie. I even when I was 16, I was working as a busser. I saved up enough money to go out and train with Roger Gracie in London as a 16-year-old white belt, which looking back on it, that's cringe, right? I thought I was important enough to go train with Roger Gracie as a white belt. What am I going to learn from Roger Gracie? You know, he's going to teach me the basic cross collar choke, whatever. But at the time, it meant a lot, and it kind of impacted my style. But the point I'm getting to is I agree with you 100%. The old Robson Mora world title match, I can't remember who he went against. It was one of the most intense matches I've seen in my entire life. Like the stare down when they shake hands. These days, it's just a fist bump and you go. That was like an MMA stare down, like they're about to throw down, and it was nonstop wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and just so close to what we see today, fighting for top position, fighting for grips like crazy. It was an incredible match, and that had gone so far away with the Meow brothers and the Mendez brothers, and so much of the evolution of things. So I think you're right. We're actually weirdly circling all the way back to top position, thinking about it like street defense, like you're in a real fight, getting to the top, defending yourself, which I really like. I think that's a good evolution to the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's BJ Penn, get a takedown, pass the guard, get your points, secure. So, hopefully we see that come for full circle, or it's just going to split completely away because jujitsu now is not applicable to MMA. I mean, somewhat, but not at the high level. So,
Well, we just saw, and sorry guys, we won't spend too much time on this, but I just went to Costa Rica, right? And the owner of the gym is a Renzo Gracie black belt, right? And so Gary Tonin is their guy, and it was I went there a month after he fought. How do you say his name? Thon Lee,
yes,
Thon Lee,
Tonley.
Ton Lee. And you're talking about the best leg locker in the entire world, like without a doubt, one of the best jiu-jitsu black belts and best leg lockers in the world gets KO'd in a minute flat trying to do what he is the best at. He had a full locked on leg lock and gets KO'd flat. So I mean, if Gary Tonin is not able to do it, how arrogant would I have to be to think that I can make that work, right? So that's where we have to adapt.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where we end up in 3 years. I had my first fight in 2000, so that was 22 years ago. So I've been in this sport for that long, and in the people I've seen come and go, and the styles and the trends, I just hope we get rid of more of that. We get so much bottom feeders in the sport of these fake nutritionists, fake strength and conditioning coaches, fake mental coaches, all these bullshit gurus. Man, I hope we get some better like weirdos in the sport because right now the weirdos are pissing me off. So hopefully we can get some better creepers coming in here to try and steal some clout.
You know what? But we need those people, right? Because if everybody was real and legit, then everybody who has to fight against Fight Ready has somebody who's real and legit, right? You need those stepping stones and those people that are frauds. It's the weak point, the Achilles heel of some people. So you know,
Yeah, uh, the good with the bad. Well, let's get on to this week's card. Main event is Rafael Fiziev and Rafael Dos Anjos. But before we do, you guys, again, please, subscribe, like, share, and of course, check out my memoir in the show notes. And let's go, man. We've got Ronnie Lawrence coming in against, shit, man. Oh, boy. Saiyokub Kakhramanov. I got Kakhramanov, but I do not know how. Saiyokub? Seti shish kebab? I mean, Kakhramanov I can do at this point, man. So you guys should be pretty happy with that. Man, I mean that's a plus for me. And Ronnie Lawrence, man, I really like this guy as a fighter. I think he's really, really, really solid. And Kakhramanov is a good up and coming kid now too. I really don't like his attitude because of the CFFC thing. Do you remember that?
enlighten me.
So it was actually, gosh, I think I was there for Casey Tanner.
He threw away the belts. Is this the story?
Yeah, they were like, "How do you feel about this belt? You know, winning that belt. What does it mean to you?" He goes, "This is shit. I don't need this shit." He's like, "This means nothing to me. Just give me to the UFC. Give me my call. This is nothing. I work too hard." And I was just like, "Man, like this
You don't like
dude."
that? I love that. That's my favorite thing about him now.
I think it's just so disrespectful for somebody to fly him out, pay him, put him on TV, and then for him to do that, like to say, "Hey, you the opportunity that you gave me and paid me for is bullshit. Go fuck yourself." I mean, that is just disrespect at a level. I just can't get behind that type of disrespect. Fantastic fighter, just bad, bad, bad disrespect. But anyway, all right. So we've got Ronnie Lawrence. He's 8-1. Um, he kind of comes from a kickboxing background, but definitely has decent wrestling. I wouldn't even say decent wrestling. He has good timing on his shots. All right, his shots are timed really well. Moves pretty well. Uh, Light on his feet, and honestly, a decent grappler, decent scrambler. Really, really strong suit is his cardio. Really, really weak suit is his chin. Um, Man, Mana Martinez hurt him a couple of times, and actually so did even Jose Johnson, Vince Cachero. I feel like everybody, Vince Cachero hurt him with kind of a glancing shot, and that's what worries me about that one. On the other side, you've got Kakhramanov, who is a very good wrestler. Um, I mean, and really just tough, high guard, and just swings bombs. I don't know. I mean, this is going to come down to cardio. I think this whole fight comes down to cardio. And can Ronnie Lawrence just buzzsaw through Kakhramanov so he gets tired and he kind of finds something? I mean, I thought he had a really hard time with Mana Martinez. Not a hard time. He beat Mana Martinez, but he did get in trouble sometimes, and he didn't finish him. And he gave Mana Martinez enough opportunity to where he could hurt him. And I think the levels are huge. Kakhramanov went to a decision with Nurmagomedov. That's one of his losses. And when I think he lost that fight, but I think he did well. It was a solid performance against a really high level guy. Ronnie Lawrence moves somewhat similar to Umar, but he's a very, very poor man's version of Umar standing. I don't think he has a wrestling of Umar. I don't think he has the power of Umar, and I think his chin is suspect. At plus odds, I put this up on our Discord yesterday or the day before because I wanted people to be able to get these odds soon, and he's at plus 115 now. Actually, more money has gone in on Ronnie Lawrence. Ronnie Lawrence started when I saw him about minus 115, and Kakhramanov was plus 105. I like Kakhramanov here. I think his power and his defensive wrestling, and I mean, he was tired against Trevin Jones, but he took that fight on like 4 days' notice while he was in whatever the hell country he's from.
Uh, I'm with you here. I expect if you're gonna bet Saeed, I would just wait a little bit. Twitter, the Twitter pump is coming big time on Ronnie. Everybody thinks Ronnie's a really, really sharp play here. I kind of feel the opposite, and the reason is he's still developing, right? And you just said he's got good timing on his shots, but not a great wrestler. Even watching my old fights, right? I am not a great wrestler. I don't have this incredible blast double. I'm kind of like a funky wrestler, but a lot of times in fights, I would just time things really well. Somebody's throwing a kick, great, I got the takedown. Somebody's overextending on a punch, which is what Mana Martinez was doing when he would get taken down. That's when he's finding his entrances. But you can tell his striking, he still feels uncomfortable. And in the Mana fight, Mana is huge for bantamweight. I mean, he's a 5'10" bantamweight. He is used to people being very intimidated and not rushing him because they have to work their way in to that reach, right? He's used to kind of stalking people down and winning on the outside and then putting the death touch on him. So Ronnie shocked him, right? Ronnie was just leaping in with punches and cracking him. But he couldn't hold Mana down, not for very long at all, right? Mana worked his way up every single time. He did rock him. That was with a spinning back fist, so I don't put a ton of stock into that because that's not something that Saeed does. Um, But I will say this too: we do have a guy that I used to train with, Jared Braun. He said he wrestled with Saeed. He used to wrestle with him a lot. Said that kid can scramble like nobody's business. He is a phenomenal wrestler. And then he actually posted a video of Saeed wrestling at Beat the Streets, New York City, 8 years ago, which is super impressive. To be invited to Beat the Streets, New York, that's a huge tournament, huge thing. So that's super cool. So he is a good wrestler. And I was actually surprised he is that good of a wrestler because he's always doing stupid judo bullshit. He's always trying to go for trips and takedowns, which is my least favorite part of his game. I mean, it's the worst part of his game by far is him trying to go for all these throws that aren't really going to work. Um, but people are going to, go heavy on the Trevin Jones fight. They're like, oh, I can't unsee him being mounted. It was just one brief lapse of judgment. Trevin went to go take his back, and Saeed thought he was going to be able to come back on top. And Trevin just did the smart thing: was he bailed on taking the back and took mount instead, which is what everybody in the world should do when you're losing position. Yet nobody ever seems to do. And Saeed just kind of got lost, and he also heard the 10-second clapper. So I don't really hold much of that against him. Defensively, he actually looked really, really decent, especially on the, kind of those blast shots similar to what Ronnie Lawrence shoots. Keeps a high, tight guard. Everything's thrown with power. It's thrown tight. I'm with you. I could see Saeed chinning Ronnie. I could see the scrambles going good for Saeed. If Ronnie was having trouble holding down Mano Martinez, who really doesn't have a lot of grappling to speak of, now get a guy who's got a judo and an extensive wrestling background, who's going to throw bombs, a little more dangerous on the feet. I love Saeed here. I'm not going to be the most massive play I ever make, but I think Saeed is a really, really good pick here.
Yeah, I really think the only way that that Ronnie Lawrence wins this is he's got to have just a tactical performance, of his lifetime. And not to say that he can't. He does. He moves great laterally, left and right. He gets people to chase him a bit, and then he either darts a 1-2 or a cross at him, or he hits his takedown, that blast double that he does, and he'll redirect it a little bit. But again, I don't know that he can hold Saeed down, and then it just comes down to how many times can he do the blitz 1-2 or blitz double leg to score enough points. Like what's more tiring, getting the takedown, getting those blasts, or not? Not to say that he can't. He could do that again and again and again and again and again, but that is a very taxing, very tiring fight that I just don't see him being able to do that for 15 minutes over and over and over again without getting caught or ending up on the bottom.
Well, this is also the thing too, and I think this is going to be the theme for the night, is you got to take into account the opponent's skills that he's faced. Mano Martinez is not a wrestler, right? He's not like a phenomenal defensive wrestler. He doesn't have an amazing sprawl. I mean, pretty much every time he just kind of fell over, right? And when somebody's as one-dimensional, I don't want to say one-dimensional because I think Ronnie Lawrence is good. Like you said, he's got good cardio. He's got a good blast double. His striking is coming along. But you know what Ronnie wants to do. And when you can see it from a mile away that the one thing that they want to do is shoot that blast double, life gets really, really easy because, if you're threatening on the feet, that's going to make them panic shoot for a double. And if that's the one thing that you're expecting, you're ready for it. And I think Saeed's competent enough of a grappler and smart enough to know, hey, Ronnie's going to shoot a double leg. So let me scare him on the feet. So that's his last resort and I'll be ready for it. Here we go. So I think Saeed's a good play.
I like it. For dog money, it's funny on this card quite a bit. I like the dogs, and I don't like the favorites. And
I do
doesn't
too.
mean I'm gonna play all of the dogs or not play all of the favorites. Just or play the dogs. It's just a lot of stuff I'm just gonna not touch. All right, next up we've got Kennedy and Nzechuwku, Karl Roberson. And man, this is I think this is a loser goes home bout right here. What do you think?
Yeah, I started this one and I couldn't finish it because I can't find an edge here. I can't find anything. watching the tape, what I would see is Roberson throws more volume. He's a little bit more active. He's a decent enough kickboxer. He's athletic enough, decent enough cardio. So my eyes are like, yeah, he should win. But I feel like Roberson always finds a way to disappoint and lose. And weirdly, Kennedy always kind of finds a way to come on and kind of win. So they're opposite ends of the spectrum for me, and I have such a tough time getting a read. I don't think I would even do this fight justice trying to pick a side or pick a winner here. So I'm out on this one.
It's funny you say that because, in the write up, I say it all the time. Don't bet bad fighters. And these are two very bad fighters. You cannot bet either of them. That's anything more than a coin toss and expect like anybody that's like, oh man, Kennedy's winning this or Roberson is winning this.
It's not sharp on either side.
Yeah. Flip a coin and that's what you got. Like you said, you have Kennedy, who is the ultimate Homer Simpson. Will not engage, does absolutely nothing, shells up almost like scared, like a scared child getting beaten by a belt. Anyway, and really does nothing. And in his last fight, he actually opened up a little bit more. And that's saying a lot. But then on the other side, you have Roberson, who's honestly good everywhere. He's legitimately pretty good. And it almost seems like he just goes balls out ballistic trying to win. And then if he doesn't, he's like, I am out. Like there is yep, hot potato. It's yours. Done.
That's what I'm saying. Opposite ends of the spectrum. One finds ways to win, one to lose. One is actually good, and one's like not that good. And it's like, where the hell do we go from here? How do we even? I don't even know about a rounds prop. I don't know any kind of prop here. I don't know a decision goes to like. I don't know any of that.
I've got one. Okay. I don't think it goes to a decision, and I think Roberson is. This is going to be finished one way or the other. Roberson is either going to get him out of there early and just dynamic some stuff and go, or he's going to get tired and fade, almost like the Carlos Ulberg type of thing, except Ulberg was just really gassed out and dead, whereas Roberson will be gassed out and dead and want to find a way out because he's gassed out and dead and didn't win. So I don't think this one is going to a decision. I think that's the only way I would touch this. Is fight does not go to decision.
I think that's probably the play here.
Yeah.
I still don't love it.
Yeah. And no, I mean, it could go all 3 rounds. I mean, it is not it is not set in stone. And
well, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's just list every possible outcome. So no matter what, at the end of this week, that we're right no matter what. I could see a Kennedy knockout, decision, or a sub. And then, on the other side of things, I could see a Roberson knockout, submission, or even a decision, like if we're really getting crazy. And know what? Even on the crazy part, I could totally see a draw. One guy gets maybe knocked down in a round, a 10-8, and the other guy takes over afterwards. I could even see a draw. So that is my professional opinion. I got 7 outcomes. I lean on 7 of them, but my betting lean is a different one. And then I'm also going to do like a hunch, but then like a betting lean too and a regular lean. So that's my
I love it. Always
my
correct.
Prediction.
Always correct. No, but seriously, you guys don't.
What's funny is people in the comments always saying that stuff.
Oh, I know they do.
You list all the outcomes so that you're always right. And it's like, they're like, you put one on Patreon and one in the video. And it's like, first of all, no, we don't. Second of all, that would make either the Patreon subscribers pissed off or the YouTube subscribers pissed off. We got to pick and choose our battles here.
Yeah, we talk about fights. We break down fights. We break down possible outcomes of fights. But we pick a winner and who we actually think is going to go. And that's not to say, crazier shit has happened. I've changed my mind and, been kind of leaning one way or the other way and then switched it up here or there on the Patreon. But I really do, again, like I think Nzechuwku is, or whatever, I don't know, Kennedy, he's a more durable person, but I think Roberson is not. And I don't think this is going to go the distance. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. That's all the time we're spending on this because these are two bad
Do we
fighters.
Have a winner here? Maybe if we have to, because I want to win that little free UFC bet picks thing. I want to win that thing again.
Man.
I'll go Roberson.
Okay. Man, let me.
I don't want Roberson. I would rather go Kennedy, but.
Yeah, I was going to say, if gun to my head, I don't want to pick either of these. And you're a son of a bitch for making me. Okay, if I have to, I would pick Kennedy. I would
I
pick
want Kennedy
Kennedy.
kind of too.
You can have Kennedy as well. We don't have to go one or the other, but I just can't get behind.
He's
Um,
with Kraus now, Roberson.
is he? But man, look at this. I mean, like Roberson's losing to Roundtree, Brendan Allen, and Marvin Vittori. Those are all solid. I mean, he took down Darren Stewart and choked him out. And Stewart's hard to take down and choke out. He is good, man. He lost to Glover. He beat Wellington Turman. He beat Roman
Kopilov's a good win
Kopylov.
too.
Those are good wins. I mean, they are solid wins.
He's
And
only
then
lost to top guys.
he really has, but oh man. And then again, on the other side of that, you've got Kennedy, who is losing. He just lost to Nick Negamorano, Daun Jung. He beat Danilo Marquez. He beat Carlos Alberg. He lost to Paul Craig. All right, man. Going gun to my head. I'm going Roberson. I'm going
Okay, let's go
Roberson.
Roberson. Let's go
Okay,
Roberson.
I'm going
Because
Roberson on this.
Daun, just to give every like Daun Jung should have lost that fight to Sam Alvey, and they gave it a draw, and that was like the biggest luck of all time. Daun Jung went to a draw with Sam Alvey. He's like a young stud, like one of the top prospects in the weight class. Went to a draw with Sam Alvey. Honestly, should have lost the fight and KO'd Kennedy like instantly. So I think we gotta go Roberson here.
I think we have to go Roberson. Gun in my head. Still, you guys should not bet this. Yeah, like don't bet it. It's a bad idea. But because we want to be right and get credit for something, we'll go Roberson.
How many takedowns do you think Kennedy has in his career in the UFC?
Oh my gosh, does he have a takedown?
0. He
Okay,
has
yeah,
how
I was
many
gonna say
fights?
he's got to have
Let's see.
5
He's got
fights in the UFC.
well, and including contender series. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights in the UFC, 2 on contender series, and he has a grand total of 0 takedowns, not 1. And I think
Yeah,
Roberson's usual path to a loss is with the takedowns.
yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I'll go Roberson. I'll go Roberson. I'm not proud of
Can,
this. I'm
can we
disgusted with
call
myself.
how do I say his name? Saif? It's like so hard for me. Saif Saud?
Saif Zaud, yeah.
Can we call him and just like, can I write a game plan for Kennedy? Hey, please go takedowns. You will win this fight by jabbing and going for a takedown, and we will win this one.
Just let him swing for the fences and tire himself out.
Yes.
Signed, yours truly, Brandan. All right, so
All
let's move on.
right.
Let's move on. I didn't even see this. Did this fight just get added? The David Onama Garrett Armfield?
Oh, like 30 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. So I did not film this or tape it because I didn't even know this was a thing.
Okay, I'll talk about it really briefly here.
Wait, hold on. I'll let you talk. I'm just gonna say one thing. I like Onama. That kid's tough. He fought Mason Jones short notice up a weight class, and then just knocked out Benitez. I like him. I don't know anything about his opponent, but man, I like Onama here. Or
Okay, well
not
they
here.
have
I mean, I just like Onama.
yeah they've fought before. These guys have already fought before. In 2018. So this is a rematch. Armfield is listed at 5'7". So he's my height. He's a 135 pounder. He's moving up to 45 short notice to fight Onama. He trains at Sanford or Kill Cliff FC now. That's where he's training at. But I think you're right. This is a good spot for Onama. I asked Kraus because Kraus is in our Discord too. And shout out to Kraus and Jeff Molina. Our Discord's growing every day, so it's getting super cool. But I said, hey, you made this matchup before. How do you feel about this matchup? And he said, 2 words, love it. So there you go on that one.
Well, there you go. There you go. Good. All right. Well, let's move up. Let's move up. We've got Cody Brundage fighting Tresean Gore. Why don't you talk about this one? Since I mean, did we even talk about Kennedy or the last fight? Give us your thoughts on this one, and then I'll chime in, and we'll kind of go back and forth from there.
Okay, I'm not super. I'm not super hip on this one, guys. I'm fighting this week, so my tape watching has not been very efficient. Every time I go to sit down with my laptop, my brain is not working. Things are not going good for me. So this was one that I skipped. But here's off the top of my head, off of memory. I remember not being super impressed with Tresean Gore's film. That being said, the guy is a brick shit house. He's a fire hydrant. He hits super hard. He kicks super hard. And I think Cody Brundage man, does he find ways to shoot himself in the foot. I think this is a good spot for Tresean here. I think he's so athletic. He hits so hard. I think he's gonna stop Brundage. Brundage is just all over the place, gets hit way too much. He's got a little bit of cardio things, and his wrestling is so underused. Like for being the wrestler that people think that he is, he doesn't use it very much. So I think I like Tresean here.
Let me pull up the odds, and the odds are Cody Brundage plus 104, Tresean minus 130. So betting wise, pretty. If you really like somebody, it's decent on either side. Cody Brundage, you said it. His wrestling, he wrestled in college. He might be the worst college wrestler in MMA there is. He just makes bad decisions. He shoots from far away. I thing is with him over at Factory X, I think he wants to work his striking, but there's just some people like you have a Jake Shields. Okay, Jake Shields worked striking forever, and he just never got good at it. I feel like that's Cody Brundage, and he's feinting high and doing these little feelers and moving and trying to look the part. And all that is doing is making him a worse striker. And because he's just not comfortable striking, he shoots from too far away. I mean, in his last fight, he got lucky with that guillotine, I think, because that was going to end poorly for him otherwise. And you said Tresean Gore is 3-1. He is a baby in this sport, man. He does not have a lot of fights. On the Ultimate Fighter show, though, he beat one of our guys, Ryder Newman, not one of our guys, but Ryder has come down and trained a lot with us to help out with Eric Anders camps. Ryder took second in Nevada States to our Ray Waters and wrestled at University of Wyoming for 3 years. So, I mean, competent D1 wrestler. Ryder couldn't take Tresean down. Tresean has come and trained with us, not for a long time, but maybe 2 weeks, and he just does not know a lot. He's very new in the sport, and he wants to learn. He's eager to learn. But honestly, he has some of the best hips I've ever seen. Like him and Shakira, the hips are there.
Really, Tresean does?
Oh my gosh, like he is so hard to take down. Even against like really good wrestlers would be so deep on him and have a really hard time taking him down. And if they did get him down, he just pops right up, just bounces up. He has
No
hard,
way.
thick, heavy hips. That dude can defensively wrestle. His striking.
Is this going to be one of the best spots on the whole? I mean, the way that you're saying this is making me think this is the best spot on the card.
Man, if you watch Tresean's fight against Battle or his fights in the house, high guard, low volume, throws a mean low kick, a good jab. I mean, the only way that I see Brundage winning this is if he can really push a volume and a wrestling heavy game to try and tire Tresean out to see if that works for him. But Brundage gets tired himself. Too. Yeah, I like Tresean here. Man, his hips and defensive wrestling and just athletic ability are unbelievable.
Somebody made fun of something that I said the other day, and it ended up being like super true. I can't remember what fight it was, but I said, this person fights in a style that doesn't require a lot of cardio. And I can't remember what fighter it was. And they're like, you idiot, or something like that. But Tresean Gore, low volume, just kind of stalking forward, it doesn't take a lot of energy. What takes a lot of energy is moving crazy and shooting in on 100 takedowns that you don't get and doing all these little things that you think are necessary with the striking. Tresean, look, Brian Battle, I think, is like so underrated. I think Brian Battle is phenomenal because he's kind of like a Ricky Turcios, right? He's just like high volume, always throwing something out there. He's good defensive wrestler, and even if he's down, he's getting back up. Good, like I love Brian Battle, and that was a close fight, man. That was super close. I had Brian Battle. I had a comma on Brian Battle, and that was a very close fight. So, man, guys, this is going to be. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go put in a play right now on Tresean. Just telling you that. This
I
is what
like
you're here
it.
for.
I like Tresean. And, who you're talking about was who Carlos Ulberg fought the other day was Chukwu, or who was it? That's what you're saying, has a very low Tafon. Like he does not have a. That's exactly who it was. But all right,
because so Tafon should gas, but he doesn't gas because he doesn't fight a style that like requires a lot of cardio, and that's good for like I think that's good. You weather the storm.
Moving along, we've got Antonina Shevchenko against Courtney Casey, and I got to this and I made sure I paid special attention because our guy Rusty, who's on our Patreon, he's always on the YouTube comments and stuff. He was asking me about this fight specifically, so I made sure to take like just I was really curious because he was like, "Hey, what's your read on this?" And so just because somebody asked, I was took a little bit extra time. Let me see. Courtney is
It would be hilarious if you paid extra attention, but then never shared your thoughts. You just kept it inside.
I should. All right, you guys. So anyway, moving on.
Next fight.
Next fight. So Courtney is plus 146 and Antonina is minus 176. And let's look at Antonina's record. She's 9-4. She lost to Casey O'Neill. She lost to Andrea Lee. She beat Ariane Lipsky via jiu-jitsu, not striking. Lost to Caitlin Chukugian, beat Lucia Pudilova, don't even know who that is, and then she lost a split decision to Roxanne. I mean, she really is not beating world level competition. And she's kind of I don't know.
Is
Courtney
Courtney?
Casey. Well. No, she just beat Liana Jujoa, whatever. She
Who
lost
is
a
the
split.
worst fighter I've ever seen in my life.
She
Liana's
just beat
horrible.
JJ Aldrich. But I thought, or I'm sorry, she lost to
She
JJ.
should have, but a
she
close
should have,
fight.
she should have won that. She should have won that. I thought very close, but I thought she did all of the damage. She fought Jillian Robertson, who is like glue. You know what I mean? That is just a weird stylistic matchup. I mean, she's beaten Angie Hill, she's beaten Jessica Aguilar, but all of her losses are like decision or close split decision type of stuff here. And I think Antonina, with the name Shevchenko, gets a little bit more press and credit than she is due. I don't think that she's actually earned that much. I think her sister has earned her most of the credit that she has. I mean, they say she's this world champion kickboxer, and her kicks are good. She's long, she's rangy, she has a good tie clinch. Her ground game is almost non-existent, and she just physically doesn't look very strong. On the other side of that, you've got Courtney, who's a pretty good boxer. I mean, her actual boxing is good. She throws hard. She will throw that right kick a little bit. A lot of elbows from the clinch. She's mean in there. I have two big knocks on Courtney Casey. One is her inactivity. She will not pull the trigger first. She will wait and wait and wait and wait. And if you don't engage, she won't engage. But the second you engage, she will pull the trigger, rapid fire. She's down to fight. She doesn't know how to create the movement. She won't jab. She won't like create the stuff and go first. That is my biggest knock on her. My second biggest knock, if she gets put on her back, that's it. She's a turtle. She's not getting back up. Like it's a wrap there. She does have good jiu-jitsu from her back. She does have good jiu-jitsu as a whole, but her ability to get up, and honestly, even I remember she used to train with me, you guys. So disclaimer, she did a couple camps with me. She just doesn't have great hips. She doesn't have good mobility on the ground. Her ability to get up is just really compromised, I think, from a lifetime of soccer and
Some
the
people
sport.
it works with, and some people it just doesn't work with. Like the hips, just
Right?
they're important.
They just work or they don't. I actually think I like Courtney Casey here, and we saw Andrea Lee hurt Shevchenko with the hands, rock her, and then really beat her up. I don't know. I mean, I think Courtney, if she just pulls the trigger, if she does nothing more than pull the trigger with her hands and stay off of her back, I think she wins. Shevchenko is not a great wrestler. She's not a good, I think, MMA fighter as a whole. I don't think her fight IQ is through the roof. I think Courtney has a better fight IQ. I think has more experience. I think she's a better boxer. The lab guys have been doing really well lately under Rob Emerson, kind of heading their striking right now. I want to like her in this spot. I don't trust either of them. This is the same as that Kennedy and Roberson fight. I don't think I can trust either of them with my money. I can't tell you guys to. I wouldn't confidently tell you guys to bet this because these are two bad fighters when it comes to betting because you don't know what you're going to get. I think easy play as fight goes the distance here. I think the only way it doesn't is if Courtney gets a submission somewhere. But I think over 2.5, I think fight goes the distance is an easy play. And man, I think it's either a lot of these on this card are dog or pass. And I think the only money I would put down on a money line here is on Courtney.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with you here. God, I wish Courtney was just a little bit better at it, either defending takedowns or getting up off her back. Like Liana Jojua is such a horrible fighter, and like I'm trying to be respectful, but she just got cut from the UFC and then lost a fight that they literally set her up to win overseas. Well, I guess not really. She was fighting like a Russian girl with a lot of wins, but man, she's not good. And Courtney beat the shit out of her. And then at the very end of round one, Liana can go get a takedown. Like the worst takedown you've ever seen. Courtney just falls over. Like doesn't have hips, doesn't chain wrestle, nothing is there. So please let either one of you guys let me write the game plan for you here. Courtney, be mean as fuck. Stand in her face, elbow her against the cage, just grind and grit her and make her uncomfortable. And Antonina, just go for one takedown and defend arm bars, and you will be good to go. And I will make a lot of money on either side of this fight. But unfortunately, we don't get to write the game plans. I'm with you. I think the only option here is to take Courtney because she's just mean, man. She's just mean. She swings hard. She's not afraid to just like throw down. And I think Antonina tries to be too technical, too pretty all the time. But I don't love like her and Valentina's kickboxing, and that's gonna sound super weird, but it's like this weird like hunchback like. Uh, Kind of weird like shoot thing, and she's fast. She throws a decent one too, and a nice, some nice kicks. But uh, this is MMA, and it's not Muay Thai, it's not kickboxing, it's MMA. I think I think Courtney can push the pace on her. I think that's a decent dog play. I'm with you. I think the over 1.5, 2.5, probably even decision. But I think eventually the meanness of Courtney is gonna wear on Antonina. Now, if Antonina goes for takedowns, all bets are off. I mean, then who knows? But I think Courtney's the play.
Yeah, actually, I think if Antonina goes for a takedown or catches a kick or gets her off balance, I could see Courtney getting a submission from her back.
I
You
could
know,
too.
I could actually see that. So, um, I like Courtney here. I think she's the play. Um, Next up, we've got Zahabi, Aiemann Zahabi, and Ricky Turcios. Turcios he was the Ultimate Fighter winner, right?
Yep.
Yep, 11-2. Lost to Mana Martinez, lost to Boston Salmon. Um, got knocked out by Mana Martinez in regional shows. Then on the other side, you have Zahabi, who lost to Vince Morales and Ricardo Ramos, beat Rocco Rodriguez, beat Reginaldo Vieira. And of course is Faraz Zahabi's brother up there, the famed coach out of TriStar. Turcios is a favorite here. He is minus 190, and Zahabi is plus 155. And um, these are kind of, I feel like Zahabi is Turcios's bigger, more refined brother. They neither of them are overly scary striking. Um, but Zahabi's decent. He does a lot of the right stuff, but you wouldn't call him a scary, dangerous striker. Good overhand, knocked out Rodriguez.
I was gonna
High
say, ask
guard.
Draco about that if he's a dangerous, scary
Yeah, I mean,
striker.
it's not a guy you're like, oh man, this guy's scary. Like he can hurt you, but he's not, frightful. But he does the right stuff, but he's not a world beater. Super heavy on his lead leg and gets calf kicked way too much because of it. Um, on the other side, you have Turcios, who's kind of a whirlwind of a human. He's a Tasmanian devil, but again, his striking's not scary, but he can hit you with it and hurt you with it because he's so wild with his attacks and in his kind of craziness. Neither of their wrestling is great, but both of them have decent jujitsu and decent jujitsu to scramble. Both will get taken down and then just wiggle. Um, but I think Zahabi is the more refined fighter here completely. I said this. I did an early post out on the Patreon because I like the odds here. I just think Zahabi. I thought, like I tell you guys, I don't look at odds before I watch tape because I don't want the odds to influence my outlook on the fight. And I watch a bunch of tape on Zahabi, watch a bunch of tape on Turcios, and I thought, okay, Zahabi is going to be a slight favorite here, a minus 120 to a plus 110. And then I saw that he was a slight dog. And then the odds have gone further Turcios's favor. And I'm just amazed at this. I think Zahabi is better at Turcios everywhere. I think his jiu-jitsu is cleaner. I think his wrestling takedown defense is cleaner. I think his fight IQ is better. Um, I think this is purple belt jiu-jitsu, which we always talk about, which is the craziest jump for 100 submissions instead of securing the position and getting your points and taking it if it comes. I think Zahabi is I think Turcios is going to come at Zahabi with everything on the planet, walk into punches, shoot, create a lot of jiu-jitsu scrambles, and end up losing those jiu-jitsu scrambles because Zahabi is just going to base out, find top position. And then that's going to force Turcios to fight from his back, throw elbows, or get back up to his feet, which I don't know that that's going to be a winning strategy right there. I think he's just kind of wild and crazy. The cardio goes to Turcios, but I don't see any cardio issues with Zahabi. He's just not a wild man. And I think Zahabi could catch him somewhere, but I really see Zahabi just getting up 2 rounds, maybe even all 3 rounds, just with the wildness. I'm not really concerned with Zahabi's output or effort because Tresean is going to bring the fight to him. And I think everything he does, I think if he brings the striking to him, he's going to get countered. If he brings the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu to him, he's going to end up on his back. I like Zahabi here, like a lot.
We were chatting about this one a little bit, and I said the same thing. Like, I don't understand the hatred for I'm in Zahabi. I mean, the kid is. I mean, he's not a kid. He's 34 years old, I guess. But I think he's good, man. I think he's really good. And also things to consider. He's from TriStar. TriStar has put out not only great MMA fighters, but some of the best guys in jiu-jitsu right now. Oliver Taza, Ethan Krenlenstein, like. They know how to grapple, like good strikers, good wrestlers, good game planning. Faraz is a great coach. And now you get his brother at dog odds against a guy who's just kind of crazy. I mean, if you had to say, what is Ricky Turcios really good at? Like, what is he really good at? He's got great cardio for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's it.
But there's nothing that he's great at. Like, even in the Brady Highstand fight, right? Kind of a close fight. I guess it depends on how you kind of score the fight, damage versus control. I think Turcios won. He's the rightful guy, but he wore out massive Brady Highstand. Brady Highstand throws nothing. He just wrestles, like 100% wrestles. And he was having trouble, like really hurting Brady there. Like, he's just throwing kind of crazy volume. He's throwing out lazy jabs and punches, just anything he can do to get something out there. Aimann's a lot more composed and a lot cleaner. My only problem with him, and I don't know if this is going to be a problem against a guy like Ricky, is in the Draco fight, he was really reserved until he wasn't. He didn't throw a lot out there. And so the one thing that I worry about here is just the judges being in love with Ricky, everybody being in love with Ricky, everyone loves Ricky so much that him going, and being spastic for 20-second, periods of time is going to win him these rounds against Aiemann, who's, kind of seeing things and recognizing things. But I think at a big dog like this, I mean, geez, why wouldn't you take Aiemann? I think he's actually really, really good. I think he's really talented. Oh, geez, sorry. I was trying to pull up a bet here. I want to see if we have this. Let me see.
Well, you're
Just
looking
chatting
for that.
about our.
Yeah, take a look at that. Well, while you're looking at that, I'm not worried about the volume because it'd be one thing if Turcios was from the outside and was long and was sticking a jab and a jab and a jab, and Zahabi was just not doing anything. But Turcios is going to bring the fight to Zahabi, and Zahabi will return. He will return fire. It's not like he's going to run away or just shell up. He will return. He just doesn't engage that much right off the bat, but he will fire back. And Turcios is going to create the engagement for him. If Turcios was smart with Zahabi and his output, he would play tag and touch and then run away and touch and then run away and let Zahabi kind of do nothing. But he's not going to, and he's going to go in there and blitz and go, and Zahabi will fire. The thing, though, is that the judges are going to see Zahabi firing back and firing last. as Turcios is trying to retreat, getting hit on the exit. And I think it's going to work against him because every time he comes in and blitzes, Zahabi, I think, will return fire. And that's what the judges are going to see. And that's what the judges are going to remember is that second effort.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's a great play here. I liked him as a money line. I don't understand the love for Ricky. Everyone falls in love with Ricky Turcios because of Ultimate Fighter and stuff, but you have trouble pinpointing exactly what he's good at. He's good at beating guys who gas out. Good at beating guys who have not offensive styles that just try to grapple and wrestle him. But I don't think that has to be Aiemann. I think Aiemann can beat him on the feet or grappling. And I think his jiu-jitsu is better than everybody that he's fought so far too. Okay, here's the bet that I like. On Bet Online, who is our newest sponsor, Bet Online, the point spread for Aiemann Zahabi plus 3.5. So what that means for you guys who haven't done the points ones before is that all three judges' scorecards have to read at least 29 to 28. If there's any 30-27, no. Yes, if there's any 30-27s for Ricky Turcios, you lose the bet. But if Aiemann wins one round on every judge's scorecard, or he wins straight out, you win this bet. If he finishes them, if he wins the fight, by decision, whatever, you win this bet. But Aiemann Zahabi is minus 125 for a plus 3.5 spread. So I love that bet. I think that'll be a really good one. Even if Turcios wins and outvolumes him, whatever, I think Aiemann can steal around here. I mean, with not a lot of finishing upside on Ricky's side, like I think that's a gimme bet right there.
Yeah, that's a solid one right there. That's free money. All right, next up, we've got Cynthia Calvillo and Nina Nunes. And I did not watch tape on this. This is one of those ones where I just, it's almost like with you with Kennedy and Roberson. There's so many losses. There's so much bad stuff that I'm like, no. I see Calvillo lost Chukagian, Andrade, and Andrea Lee. I mean, just right in a row. I don't know. I really didn't have much interest on this. I'm not a big fan of Calvillo, just not for anything other than her fighting style. I just am like, eh. And then we've got Nunes on the other side, lost to Tatiana, who's really solid, and then Mackenzie Dern. Do you got a read on this or a play anywhere?
Well, if this were 3 months ago, 4 months ago, I'd be like, okay, max bet Calvillo. I think this is a great play. And I'm seeing so much love for Nina Nunes this week. And I really don't understand why there either. She's older. She's what, 35, 36. She was never an amazing fighter. Let me take a look at her record. She has a big hole when it comes to the grappling, right? She ends up on her back a lot. She lost to Mackenzie, which, no problems there. And she lost to Tatiana Suarez. And she beat Claudia Gadelia, who's super low volume. She beat Randa Marcos, who's always been kind of hit or miss. Angie Hill, kind of hit or miss. And Jocelyn Jones-Lieberger. So kind of an interesting career. It's been a while since she fought. Calvillo's been fighting a lot. Now, my only problem with Calvillo is that she quit on the stool last time. That is really concerning, where in between rounds, she just got her ass beat and she said, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to try to go out. I'm not going to try to make it to a decision. I'm done. And that's alarming. She's 34.
Yep.
I think she's 34, which kind of is telling me if she's quitting on the stool, she could be close to done. She could be like, hey, I've had a good run here. Let me get a couple more paychecks, and I'm pretty close to my way out. I've lost 3 in a row, and I'm still fighting again. Like, that's the only part that's really concerning. Now, from a stylistic point, I actually like the Calvillo. She's just kind of game. She kind of rolls with things. She's right in your face, right in the pocket, doesn't let you breathe. Nina Nunes throws a lot of looping shots, a lot of kicks and a lot of looping shots. So in the striking, I would probably favor Cynthia Calvillo's tight boxing over kind of the loopy kickboxing. Cynthia Calvillo of old, she grappled a lot, right? She would wrestle, take your back, choke you out, and she was this big superstar in the making. I'm hoping she can do that again. She actually has some decent wrestling when she wants to use it. Big thing is this is going to be at 125, which is Nina Nunes' first time there in a while, or maybe first time ever. I think I like Cynthia Calvillo here. I'm seeing a lot of Nunes love. I don't get it. I think it's Calvillo or just pass this fight completely. And I think the probably smarter way is to pass this fight completely. But I don't think anybody's getting finished in this fight. I think it's going to go decision. So maybe that'll be your best play here.
Okay. Interesting. Well, you heard it there. Yeah. I just didn't have much on that one. But next up, we've got Michael Johnson and Jamie Mullarkey. And this is, let me see. Mullarkey is minus 250, and Michael Johnson is plus 195. And this is my landmine of the event. I don't know if I want to touch this at all. Mullarkey is the A side. He looked phenomenal against Devontae Smith when he decided to go. I mean, he lost to Jalen Turner in his last fight, but at this point, who hasn't lost to Jalen Turner? Geez, there's no losing to Jalen Turner is almost a rite of passage, in the division at this point. Who's just on the money. Separate from that, he lost to Brad Riddell, who again is just one of the upper guys in the division. But he lost to Fares Ziam, and I thought he won that fight. I thought Mullarkey should have been awarded the fight. Close fight, but then he lost. Lost to those two, and he beat Kama Worthy and Devontae Smith. And you have always been really high on Kama Worthy, so that's a big
Come
one.
on, Kama Worthy, come on.
I mean, so is that even that big of a win? And then you look at the Devontae Smith fight, who from the outside, Mullarkey really didn't look good. He was. Not that he looked bad, but Devontae Smith, you could tell there was just a speed athleticism advantage. And, he kind of caught Mullarkey a couple times on the outside. Then Mullarkey just said, F it, I'm throwing. And anytime he threw, he won the exchanges because he is a technically better striker than Devontae Smith. Second round came out, blasted leg kicks, got in his face, and just swung. And that was a wrap because, again, he is the technically more sound fighter, not the better athlete. But on the other side of that, you have Michael Johnson, who is the better athlete. And I don't know if he's more technically sound, but he might be. Like his striking is really solid. His movement is good. His wrestling defense is pretty good. I mean, he wrestled in junior college. He's not a great wrestler, but the biggest knock on him is he just finds a way to lose. But, he fought Clay Guida, who's the pressure fighter, crazy Clay Guida. And he was actually out here in Arizona, not at our gyms, but out here running camp with people we know. And it was, from what I hear, a train wreck of a camp. I thought he was beating Thiago Moises, really doing great until Moises jumped into a heel hook. What do you do there? And then he's losing to guys like Khabib Nurmagomedov. I mean, not too much harm there. He lost to Stevie Ray, who we just saw tap out Pettis. Lost to Josh Emmett, who I thought he was winning that whole fight until he got knocked out at the end. And so he's beating the guys who are we'll say the lower tier, and then he's fighting the top guys, and he's not beating them. This one worries me because I don't know that Mullarkey's path to victory comes anyway, except for just going full on buzzsaw like he did when he knocked out Devontae Smith. He's got to do that. I think he can do that. I'm really torn with who I even want to say is a winner. Mullarkey should win. He's younger. I think he's technically sound. I think his chin is. I don't even know if his chin is better. He's the A side here. I'll leave it at that. But man, I would not be surprised to see Michael Johnson get this freaking upset and ruin some parlays. And I don't think you agree with me here. So let me hear your side on this.
Well, a couple things. First, I heard from a little birdie that 3 weeks before Michael Johnson's last fight, he was pissed drunk at the bare knuckle fights. I've heard he's kind of developed a little bit of a drinking problem, and I could be spreading stuff. I don't want to spread anything, but either way, I from what I heard, he was pissed drunk before that Alan Patrick fight, 3 weeks out or 4 weeks out, whatever it was. Not a good sign for a guy who's kind of later in the career, right? Kind of asks, where's the focus? What's amazing to me is that you and I, we're oh my God, Michael Johnson's like one of the biggest locks of the whole card when he fought Alan Patrick. But
Hmm.
it was amazing to me at the time how many people refused to pick him. And they're like, oh my God, he's going to lose this fight. And oh, he's such a liability and he always finds ways to lose. How many people said that and were afraid to pick him there, but are like screaming about him here now that he looked good? Break down the last opponent, right? Alan Patrick is, crazy, kind of swings a few bombs for, 2 minutes and then gasses completely. And he's also 40, found his way out of a fight with Mason Jones and then pulled from the fight when it got rebooked. Like, he's not a good fighter at all. And Michael Johnson looked good against him and did what he was supposed to do. Now he's fighting a guy who's super game and, great cardio. He's just game. He's pretty good everywhere. Like, he's younger, he's faster. Like, I don't get. I understand what you're saying is like, hey, this could be a lot closer fight, and this could be definitely a landmine. For me, like if I'm going back to old school, like I choose that younger fighter, a guy who's got skills, who's just tough as hell. I have to go Mullarkey. On nothing more than, yeah, Michael Johnson does get chinned and he does finds ways to lose here. I think Mullarkey is the A side. I think he's younger, faster. I think he's fought some really tough guys and he hangs around. It just amazes me how many people are screaming about Michael Johnson, but wouldn't back him against 40-year-old Alan Patrick. It's just interesting to me. That's all I'm saying. But I got Mullarkey here.
Yeah, I'm not screaming from the Michael Johnson rooftop at all. I'm just going, ugh, is this as big of a lock? I just think we see this all the time with these minus 200, plus 200 lines where you really have the ace. We saw it with Roman Dolidze and Kyle Dawkins. We were talking about that earlier. And we saw that bomb blow up. I think there's more likelihood of that happening because Roman Dolidze has finishing power, whereas I don't think Michael Johnson does. Uh, I think you convinced me. I think logic prevails. Mullarkey is clean. His cardio is good. His fight IQ is good. His coaching is good, and he's not a drunk. All of those things.
Well, he could be. We don't know.
We
We
could
really
be,
don't
but we
know.
don't know about it yet. And so if we knew about it, but we know is that Michael Johnson might be. And we're not saying he is, you guys. We're just messing. But
He liked to have a drink at a bare knuckle fights. I mean, he went out.
yeah,
Maybe he had a nice date, whatever it is. But
maybe he did. So I'll agree. Hey, I'm with you on the win. I don't know that I'm going to bet money on it. I don't know that this will be one of my picks on the Patreon just because I'm like, I just, there are just things where I'm like, I don't like uncertainty. Not with
I
betting,
think
with my
either
own.
way, this fight does not go. I don't think this is going to go the distance.
You don't think so? Really? That actually interests
No,
me.
because Mullarkey is so high paced. And you're right. They're both a little bit chinny. Michael Johnson's 38 or something like that. Like either Mullarkey's pressure is going to get to him and he's going to chin Michael Johnson, as happens often, or he's going to run in trying to kill Michael Johnson and he's going to get chinned himself. And I think Michael Johnson's got power. I think he's a good striker. So I don't think this fight's going the distance.
I think I like that. I'm looking at his record now, and man, he is winning or losing by not decision for the most part. I mean, Ferris Ayem and Brad Rydell are decisions. Devontae Smith, Kyle Worley, Jalen Turner, all finishes. Um, Michael Johnson is winning or losing for, he's kind of a mix of decisions. Um, but, I mean, Clay Guida rocked Michael Johnson a little bit in their fight. I could see it. I could see it. I don't know. I mean, I like Mullarkey. I'm curious to see if Mullarkey has to pass the Michael Johnson test. If he can pass the Michael Johnson test, then he can make it up in that upper echelon. The thing that worries me about Mullarkey, just not even so much in this fight, but as he moves up the ranks, is I don't know that he has the power to fight those top guys. I don't know that he has the strength to fight those top guys. He's a little chinny. He's not overly athletic. Um, I think he's a very good jack of all trades, but I don't think we're going to see Mullarkey. Mullarkey is going to be a Chris Lytle. He's going to win two, lose one. I think he's always going to lose to those really, really, really top guys, but he's going to put on really exciting fights. And as long as he can win enough fights, he'll be Brian Kelleher. They'll keep him around. They'll let him stay. They'll pay him well. Put on exciting fights. You just have to win enough to stay here.
So too. All right. What do we got?
Oh, let me see. Oh man, we've got Jared Vanderaa, Chase Sherman. Uh, man, I like this fight, and have not been big on either of these guys in the past. Um, but you've got Chase Sherman, who's like 0-47 in the UFC. Um, just he's lost four in a row. He lost to Orlovsky, Parker Porter, Jake Collier, Alexander Romanov, beat Ike Villanueva. And then he had another stint earlier where he lost three in a row in the UFC. Um, he kind of got gifted this stint. He shouldn't even be in the UFC. He got cut, but they needed a last minute replacement for Romanov, so he stepped in on like 2 days' notice. So they're giving him another shot. 6'4". He's actually pretty fast for a heavyweight. Fast, agile, moves well. Um, has a decent right low kick, and that's pretty much that. He moves a lot. And what I mean by moves a lot is when people throw at him, his head is all over the place. But that takes a lot of energy. It puts him off balance, and he's just kind of a flaily type of fighter. On the other side of that, we have Jared Vanderaa, who I mean, I've bet against Vanderaa, against Olenek, against Orlovsky, against Romanov. Um, I just have not been wowed by him. That said, those are all, I mean, Orlovsky's Orlovsky, just the volume, the striking, the slickness. But, he's losing to Olenek, he's losing to Romanov, he's losing to Spivak. I mean, those are wrestlers, grapplers who are taking him down, submitting him. That's that. If you watch Vanderay's striking, his chin is down. He's got good form. He's got a good jab. He's got a good low kick. He checks kicks. Anytime you clinch, he's grabbing the head and pulling you into a knee. He's relatively durable. I mean, he's decent. He's a decent striker who is better at everything striking wise than Chase Sherman. If you do take him down, he will go to get back up. And then on the other side of that, you have Chase Sherman, who that if he gets put on his back, that is a wrap. He is a dead bug. He's upside down, feet in the air. Um, I mean, outside of just something wild, I like Vanderaa here by every mile there is. I just think he's more durable. I think he's better. I think he's cleaner, and I think he just is a better fighter.
Yeah, I was trying to find an avenue for Chase Sherman because a lot of the chatter that I've seen this week is everybody's like Vanderaa is a lock, and I'm like, it's hard to call that guy a lock. But I'm with you. I thought Vanderaa was a lock in his last fight against Olenek, and I thought I was going to be a genius for a minute until he got reversed and submitted, and it was unbelievable, and I was so sad. But I think it's a much better matchup for him, obviously. I like his boxing. You're right. I think like his fundamentals are actually decent, and he's like fat, but like doesn't get tired fat. Where Chase does slow down a little bit, and for some reason I had it in my head that Chase actually threw a lot, with a lot more ferocity and was a lot faster and cleaner than he is. He's really not a lot of those things, right? He'll backpedal and he gets hit, and he's kind of like cardio kickboxing ish. Like he does not have this perfect, beautiful technique. So I am with you. I like Jared Vanderaa to walk him down. Uh, People are so mad at Jared's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. They're like, he didn't look like it last fight. I'm like, you've seen a picture. I mean, he's wearing a black belt. I don't think he'd wear it if he wasn't. So who knows? Maybe Jared, let me write your game plan for you. I will email it over to you. Let's just take Chase Sherman down and let's take the path of least resistance. A couple jabs to the face and let's get one takedown and it is wraps. I mean, he is not getting your fat ass off him. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. Like that is a good thing. Yeah, I like Jared here. I think that's going to be a really solid play. And at minus 190, I mean, that's not the worst of all time. Now, if you want to get real crazy, again on Bet Online, that spread is minus 115. So for him to win 3 rounds or him to get, a finish, that's minus 115. I mean, it's a pick 'em. I really like that bet too.
And the thing with Chase Sherman, if you look at his fight against Jake Collier, he was not wrestled to the ground. Collier caught 2 kicks, and those were his takedowns. Like he just caught a kick, and Sherman fell over like a tree in the woods. And Collier was like, okay, I'll beat you up here. And I mean, it is, man, Vanderaa, you guys from the rooftops. And um, I thought Romanov was going to win that. I thought Alexei was going to win that. I don't know if I've ever been said a good thing about Jared Vanderaa. I don't like that he has two A's in his last name the way that it is. Like, that bothers me. You only need one. But I like him against Chase Sherman. So, um, man, all right. So who do we have next? We've got Said, the I can only throw spinning attacks Nurmagomedov versus Douglas Silva D. Andrade. Man, there's too many damn last names, you guys. Like Douglas Silva, Douglas D, Douglas Andrade. We got to cut this shit down, man. Like, simplify. Um, who do you got with these two?
Well, first, let me say this. I was around. I was cornering Vanessa for her previous fight against Silvana, and Saeed was also on that card. And every time I would go downstairs in the elevator, I'd go anywhere. I just kept seeing this it's like super handsome guy. I'm like, who the hell is this? Like some Dagestani with the bowl cut and the beard. But I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy's so good looking. That was Saeed, and I didn't realize. Like, I'm like, dang, like, usually kind of ugly, just like they try to make themselves look like whatever. Dude's beautiful. I'm like, he just got this dreamy eyes, and I was like trying to keep my composure. But he's massive, man. I thought he was a 45, or I thought he's a 55. I mean, he's so huge. Super, super tall, just swag. Now, we are probably the two most critical people of all the spinning attacks. I mean, I hate the spinning attacks because it's just constant out of position. And we said this in his last fight against Stamen. Saeed's the one guy that I'm like, spin all you want. Like, he knows how to make it work. He gets back to position so quickly and so well. And the efficacy of his spins are actually like, it's a really high rate. Like, he hurts people, he gets people, catches them off guard. I mean, he even keeps them kind of timid on the feet. This guy is putting people away, and it's looking effortless how he does it. I know there's a lot of concern about his volume. I don't really worry about that. I mean, he's the younger fighter. He's a good counter wrestler, good defensive wrestler. He's a good striker. I think this is probably the best spot on the entire card, and you're not really getting it for an expensive price. Andrade is solid. He's a tank, but I think this is Saeed's tee up fight. Here you go. I think he's better everywhere.
I agree with you 100%. The thing with Saeed about his spinning attacks, usually spins are desperation, or they're at least just like high amplitude, high energy. He looks like a freaking ballerina out there spinning around. Like, he could do that all day long. And it's like these gorgeous, like, flowy movements. Is he even exerting energy when he spins? I think that's when he actually saves energy and gets like fresher.
He never
But
looks tired. Like, he can throw 100 in a row and be like, "Oh, I'm good."
yeah, like, oh, we're just, well, these tired people out? How? Um, but then he also has a really good jab. He has a really good jab. He has a really good low kick. Um, doesn't check kicks for shit. We saw that with the Barcelos fight. But his takedown defense is good. I think he's a lot better than Morozov. I don't think he has chin issues. I think he's really hard to hit. Man, I like him here by 10 miles. I mean, Andrade, like, he was winning that Morozov fight until I'm sorry, losing that Morozov fight until he just got clipped, or until he clipped Morozov. I just, man, I don't see there's a way that Nurmagomedov loses this fight, because I don't think Andrade is technical enough as Barcelos was a few years ago before he kind of fell off that Brazilian hill. And I don't think he's composed enough to have to pick him apart. And I don't think his wrestling is good enough or smart enough to be able to hang on him like Barcelos did. And I think Said is better than he was back then.
Yeah, it's been a long time since the only part that concerns me a little bit is his cage time. I mean, okay, he had a 47-second submission of Cody Stamen in 2022, and then he didn't fight for a year and a half, and before that fight was only 51 seconds. And then he had the, unanimous decision with Rayoni, and then the fight before that was 2 minutes and 28 seconds. So he's got under 4 minutes of cage. Well, okay, he's got 19 minutes of cage time in the last 3 years, 3.5 years,
yeah.
19 minutes in 3.5 years.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. You can't.
Can't fault
he
him for
looks good.
winning that quickly.
Exactly. You cannot fault him for winning that quickly. But even with Barcelos, like, I mean, he didn't have a lot of experience then, and he did well. His cardio was
Fought
good.
tooth and nail. Yep.
Fought tooth and nail. I like him here. Love that spot. I'm sure you guys will find some props on it. Maybe I don't know if I like a decision or a finish or what, but see what props are out there for this one. Have fun. All right, we've got our co-main event: Caio Baralho and Armen Petrosian. And first of all, before we get into this, do you think Petrosian beat Rodriguez?
I don't think so personally.
Yeah, I was
I
watching
had
that
money
note.
on him too, but I didn't feel that way.
Really? Yeah, I knew that he lost. I knew it, watching film. Even, he got Rodriguez stumbled a little bit, but who doesn't at this point? We probably rocked Rodriguez having this podcast. It's too much waves in the earth, and man, I thought Rodriguez won that fight. I thought he won it. Um, I mean, Armin's got good. I don't even know if I'd call him good leg kicks, but a lot of leg kicks. We saw that with Rodriguez. He will throw a lot of leg kicks. He throws his jab a lot. Uh, he likes to be on his bike, force people in, and attack the leg, but Baralho is a southpaw. That's going to limit a lot of those attacks. It's going to limit the jab, and it's going to limit a lot of those leg attacks. And Caio, I don't know how the hell you say his name. He's not in your face the way that Gregory is. He's in and out. And so that alone is going to limit the amount of leg attacks and jabs and just counters that Petrosian is going to be able to, kind of throw at him. But, his wrestling's not phenomenal. His defensive wrestling's not phenomenal. He's tall. That's what I can give him, as an advantage here. But even with that, he has a 4-inch reach deficit against Caio Baralho. Man, I thought Baralho was going to lose to the Russian or Georgian, whatever he was, in
No
that
way.
last fight. I think I did. I think I said that. I don't know, but I think so. And because I'm generally not wowed by Brazilians these days, especially with their lack of wrestling and their willingness to stay on the ground. Not Baralho, man. His timing, his reflexes and in and out movement reminded me of prime Anderson Silva. Just evading, countering. The scrambles were beautiful. Just tipping, I forget his name over. I mean, it was just beautiful jiu-jitsu, beautiful timing, beautiful striking. He never looked tired. It was effortless. He was so relaxed in there, gliding in and out. Man, I like Baralho here a lot. Um, Let me see the odds on this because I just he's minus 230. Petrosian is plus 185. Man, I really, really, really like Baralho in this spot.
I'm with you 100%. This kid is good. And first of all, I do want to say this, guys. I've got uh, the best fake Russian sniffer in the game. I know that I do. I can spot them from a mile away, and I will tell you who is the real ones and who's not the real ones. That Godzi, how do you say his name? Godzi, Omar Godziev. Man, I spotted that from 10 miles away. I said, oh, he is not the one. He is not the one. Any Russian that goes for a knee bar is not the one. That is, come on, get out of here. Okay, but the matchup at hand. Caio's legit. I think he is the truth. I think he is very, very good. His striking, I think, is like one of the better parts of his game, and it's so underrated. Like people are just talking about how he's going to backpack Armin and he's going to take him down and he's going to do this and this and this. I think his striking is awesome too. You're right. He's like kind of a Lyoto Machida. He's like in and out, in and out, in and out, kind of that
Yes.
karate style. But he's super solid. All the years training with Damian Maia, I mean, his back control was excellent. Like he just didn't make mistakes. I really like this Caio Baralho. I think uh, I think this could end up being a close fight, maybe, but his style is a little bit different. So keep this in mind. Like just watching fights, guys. So Armin looked incredible on the Contender Series, right? He was like up a weight class, I believe, because he's at 185 now, and I think that was at 205, and he fought Koyan Kolev, who was just like this crazy berserker wrestler, and he looked phenomenal. I mean, man, did he look good for being like such a small guy in comparison. Stopped every takedown, but they're different kind of takedowns. They were just straight up blast doubles, like with no setup, no nothing. Just all right, here we go, and he stopped everything. But Kyle's been training with Damian Maia, and Damian Maia is the king of getting people down who he's not supposed to get down with things that are not wrestling, because he couldn't do a blast double if he tried to. But his cage wrestling, his control, everything was so beautiful. And I think Kyle's really, really talented. I think this is a great spot for him. And if I'm having a good night, I'll probably put a pretty decent play on this one. Not that I don't like Armin, but I think Kyle's the truth here.
Yeah, I like Armin. I think Armin is actually good. I think he does a lot of stuff really well. I just don't like him
I was
in this
actually sad
spot.
this fight was happening. Yeah, I was sad this fight was
Really?
happening. I don't want to see either
Yeah,
one lose.
I like Armin. I think he's great. Um, Honestly, the rhythm and the timing of Armin, the movement could give a little bit of problems. But again, I think Kyle's in and out is going to draw Armin into him, and I think it's not going to be as effective as it was even against Gregory Rodriguez. Um, Man. All right, we've got our main event: Rafael Dos Anjos and Rafael Fiziev. Um, Man, coming up. Before we get there, you guys, subscribe to the channel, like us, all that good stuff. I mean, help us out. Subscribing doesn't even cost anything. I don't think so. Well, I don't know. Meta and Google and YouTube and stuff, by actually subscribing to us, there's cookies and your privacy data, and now I own you. I own you now. If you subscribe, yeah, probably not. But anyway, if you do, subscribe, we just appreciate it. But we've got Fiziev, we've got Dos Anjos over here. Dos Anjos 31-13, 37 years old. And on the other side, we have Rafael Fiziev, who we were talking about earlier, is 29. Both of them are 5'8", pretty similar in height. And he is 11-1, with his only loss coming in his UFC debut to Mustafayev, or however the hell you say his name, to like a spinning kick to the chest or something, just kind of right off the bat. And that looked bad. Outside of that performance, it's been really all upward for him. Give me your thoughts on this. Let me see what you think first. I think I've talked first on most of these. I'm really big on both of these guys just as a whole. I always have been big on Dos Anjos. Fiziev, of course, I think he's just one of the best right now.
Yeah, RDA has been one of my heroes like for a long time. I mean, the guy is he's the definition of fight IQ. I mean, he really is. Like, he just doesn't make mistakes. He is so solid everywhere. I think his jiu-jitsu is excellent. His wrestling, his timing, like, he just doesn't make mistakes. I mean, he's got cardio for days. You've never seen him in bad shape in your life. Okay. All that being said, that is all great stuff. I love me some RDA. Always have. He's the man. But he is 37 years old. Okay. He's 37 and he's coming off a win against Renato Moicano, who took it super, super short notice. And coming off a split, well, it shouldn't have been a split, but a win over Paul Felder, and then lost to Michael Chiesa, Leon Edwards, beat Kevin Lee. I guess what I'm trying to say is, guys, you have to remember recency bias, right? He beat short notice Moicano, who is kind of fat, who has zero takedown defense, whose striking is meh sometimes. RDA is obviously the better striker, the more grind heavy, wore Moicano the hell out, right? So you guys are judging a fight against a guy who had no cardio, not dangerous enough striking for RDA to even be worried, and zero takedown defense, and was in love with his jiu-jitsu. You're going to take that into a fight with people were criticizing me for saying that Fiziev is probably the best striker in the UFC right now. I don't get how that's such a crazy statement. I mean, to me, and this is going to sound weird too, I think it's like Volkanovski, and I would say Fiziev are 1A, 1B. And
And
people
Peter
are like,
Yan.
Volk, but and Peter Yan, 1A, B, and C. Like those are three are I've never seen anything like it. And they don't have to be these beautiful, pretty strikers. It's just the little setups and the little things that they do. So you guys are taking all that into account, and then you're going, well, Fiziev, he tired against Bobby Green. Bobby Green is the hardest guy to fight on earth, right? And we have talked about this. This might be the second or third time that we've talked about Fiziev on the podcast since we started this. For the style that he fights, his cardio is out of this world. Like if I swung every punch as hard as I could and every kick, and I had the head movement that he does, and I did every little thing that Fiziev does, I would be tired in a minute and a half. I couldn't go 15 minutes with Bobby Green, who's impossible to hit and has unlimited cardio, right? When you're swinging and hitting air that many times, of course you're going to get a little bit tired. And he still won the fight. I mean, he still looked great as he always does. I mean, he is just an unbelievable striker. Um, and he's a good wrestler too. Like his defensive wrestling is sick. He's got insane hips. He's got an incredible get up game. I mean, Fiziev is the full package. I don't understand why. What is the line on this one? Is it
Um,
close?
no, I mean, Fiziev is minus
200.
220. Dos
Give
Anjos
me it
plus
all
170.
day. Give me it all day. This just feels like recency bias to me. Everyone's play on this has been a cardio play, and I think a lot of the cardio plays over the last few months have not been working out for people. Everyone's like, he's gonna like Petrosky. Everyone's like, Petrosky's gonna fade, including myself, right? And the cardio plays haven't been working out. I think Fiziev is the man. I think he presents enough danger where RDA is not going to feel free to mix it up, right? Where he's getting you up here and then shooting the takedown like he did to Moicano. He's got to mind his P's and Q's on the feet, and then he's got to be real careful going for those takedowns because of the knees. And when Fiziev gets you in the matrix and he's got you biting on feints and he's got you doing things, again, it's going to be real predictable where that takedown's coming from. And he's got great hips and great get up game. Um, man, I don't, I love Fiziev here. I love Fiziev here. And I could look like the biggest idiot after this, but I don't see I love Fiziev here. He's my guy on this spot.
See, we always talk about this main events and, don't bet main events. And I like that. And here's the thing is when people are talking cardio, I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong when you're saying people have been betting cardio, Petrosky, and all that stuff. Um, yeah, but it's true there. But this is a 5-round fight, and we saw this with Sarukian and Gamrot just the other day. Gamrot or Sarukian, I think, was a better fighter. I think first of all, I thought Sarukian won that fight, not by a
Good comparison too.
crazy
Good
margin,
comparison.
but Sarukian won round 1 and 2, and Gamrot started coming on, and then it came down to cardio and pressure. And Dos Anjos has fought a billion 5-round fights. Took down Kevin Lee in round 1 in their fight. Drowned him in deep waters. Didn't get finished by Usman. Didn't get finished by Colby. Who did he? Colby didn't get finished by Chiesa, who's huge. Didn't get finished by Leon Edwards. Um, and then it comes down to this is a 5-round fight. Can Fiziev, who got taken down by Brad Riddell in the 3rd round, but scrambled back up, got up right there, did the right stuff, and who got tired against Bobby Green in a 3-round fight, which had I don't think any wrestling in it whatsoever. I think that's the play here. I think that's why the lines are as close as they are. If it was a 3-round fight, this would be minus 500 in Fiziev's favor. And I think that's what they're wondering here. Fiziev is the A side. He's the better striker here. He's all of the things that you said he is in a 3-round fight. Dos Anjos is a caveman with a giant skull who's been TKO'd a couple of times, I think 3 times, over the course of his 13 losses. But guys like Leon Edwards are knocking him out. And Leon Edwards has cardio for days and takedown defense for days. And it's just solid.
Does Leon have any knockouts though?
No, but I'm just saying he's a lot bigger, and first of all, he's a lot bigger than Dos Anjos. They are fighting at 170. He is a sharp shooter, and he's got great takedown defense. And Leon doesn't really fade that much, but you have Fiziev who does. I like Fiziev here. I even think Fiziev can get a knockout. This is
I do
just one
too.
of those. His hands are great, and the thing that Fiziev does so well, honestly, this is probably his absolute best attribute, is he firefights in the pocket. People throw, and he fires. It sounds like firecrackers going off. It is 3, 4, 5 punches, just crack, just goes. I think one of those can catch Dos Anjos. I would just be careful. Don't have this as your anchor bet. Don't have this as your like all of your life savings is on this. I think there are some decent plays on this card. Um, this is one I think Fiziev wins it, but I've seen we saw freaking Sarukian lose the other day, and it wasn't like Sarukian just fell off a cliff of cardio. He just couldn't keep up with the pace of Gamrot, who was just a little bit better and a little bit more pressure and a little bit more shots on that wrestling. So 5 rounds, man. That's a big freaking difference. I hope
It
Fiziev
is.
wins. I love Fiziev. Um, again, I may play some live stuff here depending on how it looks, where the odds are, in honestly either direction, depending on how the fight is playing out. Um, I have Fiziev here as a win, but I'm definitely not shouting this from the rooftops like I would with my beloved
It's
Vanderaa.
Yeah, it's playing with fire. I get the angle and I get the point. I just think Fiziev is just on a complete different level. He offers a bigger threat, and honestly, his energy conservation sometimes is pretty decent while he's being patient striking, while he's setting traps. I do like it. I'm with you. It's there is an obvious play on the other side, but man, Fiziev is just too good for me. I think he's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. His wrestling's great. His defensive wrestling is great. It really just comes down to cardio in that fourth and fifth round. Like, well, not even in the fourth and fifth round, because you have to fight differently in a 5 round fight, knowing that you could possibly go 5 rounds. So it's not like you can just go balls out for 3 rounds and then just hopefully you get through round 4 and 5. You've got to conserve so you can't go crazy because you've got to regulate stuff and all of that plays. And I don't believe, call me crazy, has Fiziev been booked for a 5 round fight before?
Jeez.
I mean, I know he was booked against Dos Anjos earlier, but has he actually fought a 5 round fight before? And I don't believe he has. So this is a big test for him.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything, and even if he had, he finished everything. I mean, he's got all first round knockouts anyways. So yeah, nothing.
Yeah, I hope he passes this test because I love Fiziev. I think he's one of the best out there right now. I love his striking. Boxing is phenomenal. Um, but again, it worries me a little bit just because we haven't seen it. We have not seen Fiziev in a 5 round fight, so we don't know what that's going to look like. Just like with
May-
you know what, who else we didn't see in a long fight though is Chimaev, and he fought Gilbert Burns and he passed the test. And he was tired. He was tired. He was tired, but he gritted through it and he fought his balls off. I expect to see that with Fiziev, even if he does get tired. Even when he got tired against Bobby Green, he was still swinging.
he was
It
still
wasn't
going.
like he
Yep.
was just like shelled up and cowered out. I think he's going to be ready. Again, that's just my question mark with this fight is the 5 rounds. So
All right. Well, I think that's another show in the books
another show, just under 2 hours. Um,
on
yeah,
11 fights. How about that?
on 11 fights under we spent like an hour and 40 minutes talking about the next 5 years of MMA. So only 7 minutes of this was actually fight talk this time. So all right, you guys, well, have fun. Hey, is your fight going to be broadcast anywhere? Is it going to be aired?
I have no idea. I just gonna show up and go get a win. That's it.
Okay, nice. Well, we will see you guys next week after Brandon gets his win. I will be in the corner. Who else is cornering you? Camuela and Nico?
Nico Airlines. Yep.
Nico Airlines, man. We've got a great freaking crew. Well, I love it, you guys. We'll see you next time. And make sure you guys drop a comment. Let us know your thoughts. Tell us how bad we are and how much we play both sides and how our Patreon and Discord isn't worth $25 a month. And then you other people, come make some money with
We'll
us
keep winning.
because
Yep.